Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Hearts of Iron version 4 and we're playing as France. Right now I'm in May of 1941. I played this out just a little bit just to make sure my line was going to hold. And let's take a look. We're going to start with our disposition of forces initially. So what I have is we have the army of 5 different army group that's composed of 5 armies. I had a little one that was on the Luxembourg border, which I'm just leaving right there, but they're all under Wagen, and he is running basically everything from the north of France down to the Italian Mediterranean coast. We have gone through, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So I've got my forces deployed over here. I was strictly building infantry, and I created another army that I have sent down to the Spanish border, and I built some fortifications down there we'll take a look at in a minute. But now down here in Africa, I've actually changed the command around a little bit, and I put Charles de Gaulle in charge of this army just because he has a better attack bonus. So I put him in charge. I have to support this, right, until, and well, actually, let's look at this now. We're going to go into our production. Well, we'll look at supply. Sorry. So until I had to build a supply hub here, and until you build this supply hub to get them to push down a little farther, you're not going to have any luck really in pushing even against the Italians down here. But once I put this hub in, I'm hoping that's enough to push me down to basically secure this this port right here. And what is this? Does it tell me? In Tripoli. And that's the hope, right? So that should get me a little bit farther. I might have to build a second one, but I'm hoping not. And I also built another supply hub up here to supply these fortifications along the Alpine front with Italy. Okay. What else I have done is I have got my military factories. I built 61 of those, and we'll look at production in just a minute. But I basically maxed that out, and I'm going to click on this. I have built up all of these fortifications along the northern France, and actually here and along the Swiss border to at least a minimum of 6. I have this one back here that's a 3, but it's not directly on the line, so it's just behind. So you need to do that. If you do that, the Germans may attack you, but they won't attack you as vigorously. Now, in one of the sessions I played when I was trying to figure this out, I had these built up to 4, and the Germans just started attacking along two positions here and continually attacked, and I was basically cycling troops in and out, but they did not stop, and they eventually, it took them a while, but they wore me down to the point where they broke through this line. So you need to make sure that this is built up. Germany won't invade Switzerland immediately, but they will eventually, and if you don't have this line built up, that'll be your weak spot, and they'll get through there. Now, I've also built at least level 1 fortifications, and I'll probably bump this up to 2 or 3 here pretty quick, just to deter the Spanish from trying to invade southern France. So that's my fortifications, and I've basically focused. I built as many of these military factories as I could. I did build out some regular civilian factories, and as you can see, I've got really 2 full 15 factories allocated for that construction, and 10 out of 15, so 2/3 of this running into that construction cycle there. Now let's take a look at the national tree, right? So right now I'm forming the National Research Center, which is this here, which will get me another research slot. That'll give me 1 more than the Germans have. So what I've done, I think we've looked at this before, I came down this tree, and I just finished this up, but I went through here to get down to defensive stratagems, which does away with my disjointed government, and I got the army reform, which does away with victors of the Great War. I did select this, and basically what arms purchases in the U.S. allows you to do, and we'll take a look at that here in a minute, is you can basically buy U.S. arms in exchange for political points. I haven't done anything for naval rearmament, Air Force rearmament. I went through the revived national block. Now, I didn't want to spend a lot of time building fortifications, so I initially built my fortifications up along the Italian and northern France borders to 3. And then as you come down here, this is the national block. As you come down here, over here under rearmaments, when you hit the fortification focus, that's going to increase your construction speed. And then Alpine Forts is going to give you a boost in your Alpine Forts, I think a 3 along that border. Then extend the Maginot Line will give you another benefit of 3 along that left-hand flank off the Maginot Line over to the Belgium-French border. All right, and over here, I ran down this tree. Just it gives you a couple civilian factories, which is pretty critical as far as you're building up your initial production for your military. And then I grabbed this military factories, which gave me 2 more. Now I've gone down here, and this is where my I really got a big boost as far as getting factories to use. And so this is Senegal. So 47 47 locations or whatever, but it gives you 2 factories and those other locations that have been built up. And so that gave me enough where I could get quite a few. So, and then I'll come back through now and kind of branch out on some of these other ones. I need to go down here, this tree, to basically eliminate my manpower issues. As you can see up here, I've got low manpower. And then once we do that, I'll probably come over and start focusing on Air Force and then maybe a little bit of Navy. So we're kind of transitioning now from a country that's fighting a defensive war, which we're going to end up fighting for another probably couple years. But during that couple years, we're going to transition our army into an offensive force to push into Germany or into Italy to go on the offensive. So over here, I've gone through and I've converted my economy. We start out as a civilian economy, and then we have an option where it makes us where we can choose early mobilization, which is where I was at. And about 6 months, 10 months before the war broke out, I shifted over to war economy. And you got to save the 150 political points up here to be able to do that. Also, what else we want to look at? Oh, my conscription. So normally I think you're starting as a volunteer. I'm in limited conscription right now. I'm debating on whether to go up to extensive conscription. I don't want to really go past that into service by requirement because that's going to start impacting my factory output. Okay, so when I mentioned before, when we do the U.S. Thing where we get U.S. arms, well, we purchase those down here under purchase weapons from the United States. So it cost me like 75 political points to purchase 75 towed artillery, which shows up 60 days after I expend the points. Same thing, I get 50 medium tanks, so they're going to be Shermans of some variety probably, and they'll show up 60 days afterwards, and so on and so on. So that's how we go, and we help kind of basically meet our requirements for Army production. If we look over here, this is what we've got. So I'm still short on anti-tank and anti-air. I basically focused on infantry equipment initially, support equipment, which I was falling well behind of, and trucks. I went back and after that I started focusing on artillery. Now I'm starting to focus on anti-air, anti-tank, and I'm starting to produce medium tanks. And I've changed my template to actually introduce those. So my tank brigades now have 1 medium tank battalion in them, along with the other light tanks. And I've started producing fighters as well. So If we come back over here and look at what we're producing, so I am still producing infantry equipment level 1, even though I have infantry equipment level 2 right there, but I'm slowly transitioning these factories off so I keep my production up on that. Same thing with my artillery, where I'm still producing the light artillery. I've started to produce the level 2 artillery. Where is that? I know it's in here somewhere. All right, here, improved artillery. So you can see the production on this is quite low. I'm only producing 2.56 per day versus 5.37 per day. So as this picks up, I'll shift these factories down one at a time, because you could see before I'm low on artillery. Or, well, I actually have enough artillery. I'm low on anti-air and anti-tank, which was late to the game for me. So I've got this hotchkiss that I'm producing. I'm still also producing this medium tank, even though I've shifted over to a modified S-35, which is called Series A, what I've just added more, like 1 point of everything all around. And we're only producing like 1.8 of those a week, where we're producing 1 of these a day right now. So we need to let that spin up as well as the aircraft. Now, if I look back over here in my infantry, I need to come back and probably readdress combat width, because I've got basically my total in a I don't want to call it a square, but my total on a location on a combat square, I suppose what you want to call it, is 80. So I probably want to keep like multiples of 10, 20s, 40s, something like that, so it fits inside of there nice and neat and I don't have any wasted. I have added anti-tank to my infantry battalions, artillery, and anti-air. I have an engineer company, a signal company, a logistics company, and a hospital company, and I'll stick another something else in here. I did convert all my, I think I've converted all my colonial divisions over to this basic infantry division. If I have any left, that's just because I haven't found them yet. So, which normally your colonial division, which basically comprised all of the North African army, looks like this. Then so it doesn't really have a lot of doesn't really have anything, and I don't want to have to go through and update this to look like the other division. It's just easier to come in, and like I would just come down here to Charles de Gaulle's guys, and I would convert this and just come up here and click on this, and like I would convert him over to like a tank battalion or something like that. So, okay. What else do we want to take a look at? Oh, over here. So whenever you go down the defensive strategy in the national, your national focus tree, you are going to get a boost in your basically your strategies that you're using, right? So originally we started out with Grand Battle Plan Doctrine, which I think is kind of a leftover from the First World War. So I shifted over to Superior Firepower Doctrine, and which I think is pretty good at countering the German blitzkrieg tactics. And I get these 3 are pretty cheap whenever you buy them. I think you get 65% off of your research on these. And so now I've basically got up to regimental combat team. So we're becoming a lot more modernized, which will help us whenever we have to actually engage the Germans. And I don't think... Yeah, I haven't got any air doctrine. I did get naval doctrine, which I just, I got fleet in being, but yep. So that's where we sit there. My other production I have is Navy production, and I'm going to change this. Hold on, I just need to turn these back on. All right, I only have 2. I've got destroyers and submarines. I'm probably going to cut the submarine and the destroyer down a little bit and start producing convoys as well for the time being. And that would be my production research. Right now, when I pick up that other one, I will branch this out. But if I come back in here, so I've researched my infantry support companies over here. I've just basically allocated 1 research slot to keep plugging through this stuff over here. And focusing on engineering initially because they're going to help my entrenchment level, right? Engineer company entrenchment's 200%. So you want to keep that going at the beginning of the game because the Germans are going to be coming at you and you want your troops dug in as deep as they can be. Over here, we're up to 1940. I just started this because I'm going to probably shift over to like a mechanized so I'll at least start trying to produce mechanized units. And I may actually go down the Special Forces route. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to play that out right now. Tanks, I've got up to the S-35, and I've basically made a modification of that. I'm debating on building the ARL-44 as well, and just assigning 1 battalion per infantry division, and that'll give them a little bit more oomph, and that makes up a lot of my divisions right now, are these infantry divisions. So artillery, I basically focused on the artillery and anti-tank because those are my biggest threats right now, and so I've got out to here. I'll probably push this rocket artillery as well, but right now I'm researching the anti-aircraft. Navy, I have done nothing with at all, anywhere. Air Force, the only thing I've researched is the MS-406, and now I'm going to do the Dwighton 520 because I want to actually build my Air Force up now. It's going to be part of my offensive doctrine is air power. And then my research here, I have basically, I think I was falling behind, but I got improved computing, which helps my encryption, decryption. And I probably will start going down these roads here to get jet engines. Once again, just to support my offensive doctrine that I'm going to be shifting to over the next 12 to 24 months. Probably 24 months, more realistic. Over here, I'm pushing through in my industry, and I need to research these to get up to speed. I haven't really done anything with oil because I'm buying most of my oil, if I show you, is from the U.S. or from Russia. Actually, a majority of it's coming from the U.S. right now. And we can check that out really quick. So everything else, I'm short on, that's first I saw, short on tungsten. So we are going to have to do something with that. You know what? I can get that from Portugal and they're close. So I'm going to do that. I don't know if that's going to help me a lot. But anyway, my oil, I'm using 57 now. I'm importing 56, but that fluctuates up and down. And I don't have a lot of oil stock, so I got to keep an eye on that. But as I shift up for these, like we'll let this run kind of really slow in the background for right now. If I let this run up, so now I'm back. I've got my tungsten built back up, but you'll see that this fluctuates. And if I come back over here as I am, hold on, why this came up, I need to, I'm going to flip this back over to here. But as we allocate factories over here for convoys, it takes them away from what I'm building over here that I want to keep focused on. So that's something to keep your eyes open for. And that's all. The last thing we want to look at here is my relationship with my not my major nemesis, but the guy who might stab me in the back is Nationalist Spain. But I'm converting him slowly over to democracy. So he's going to have a democratic party, which I hope will actually overthrow the fascist party. And I won't have to actually do anything about it. It'll just happen naturally. But we'll see how that plays out. So Navy-wise, if I come down here, I had shifted everything over to convoy escort for a while, but now I'm trying to choke off the Italian supplies in North Africa. And so if you look, he's doing escorts, but this guy here he's got my carrier and my battleships, he is just focused in the Central Med. And this guy over here with submarines, same way. You don't have a big Navy, but you have a big enough Navy where you can affect the Mediterranean and basically cause the Italians a lot of issues. So now you saw that the Japanese declared war against Japan. That means we're going to end up probably fighting the Japanese over in like Thailand, Vietnam. We'll see how that pans out, and that'll be something. I've already thought that I might send them 2 more divisions, and I think we can hold that. I hope we can. So, and then we're going to go form this National Research Center. So let's come back into details. And where am I at right now? Oh, so that gives me my extra boost right there as far as my extra research slot. I get an extra 10% resource efficiency for doing this, and I know I need, you know what, I need to go down and do this. I can do that in a minute. So basically your priority has got to be getting troops in the field with equipment at the beginning of the game, even now. And we can bring in other resources. We can get resources from our allied partners. We're getting manpower, and I actually did request garrison support, and I got almost 1 million men from that. So you want to constantly be thinking about that, though, that you've got to get your military and keep it built up. All right, and that's what I have for right now. The Germans haven't started their war with Russia. Once they invade Russia, though, that will take a lot of pressure off of France, and then we'll be able to deal pretty well with them, I think. And down here, I haven't seen any German troops show up yet. Actually, you know what? Did I? I did. I saw 1 division down there, and it's not here now. I don't know if the Germans pulled that back or what. But the UK is pushing on this side, but they're not pushing near as hard as we are. I've got a full army down here with Charles de Gaulle with like 23, 24 divisions pushing right now. All right, hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you back next time. Thanks, take care.